Here we go. So, what are your plans this weekend? I don't know about you, but I'm planning on stepping out to Horizon and More, located at 2818 Northeast Loop 410, San Antonio, Texas, where you must be 30 or older in order to get in. On Mondays, they got soul line dancing. Tuesday, live band karaoke. Wednesday, live jazz. Thursday, bike and slingshot nights. Of course, it's ladies' night too. Friday, some of the best bands in San Antonio will be there. Saturday is Show Enough Horizon Showdown. On the first and third Sunday, Spades and Bone Tournament. Check out the drink specials and don't forget to ask for a Toya signature drink. At Horizon and More, you could book your next birthday party, event, or special occasion. Horizon and More is a place where the grown and mature come to play. Open 7 days a week. That's right. They're open 7 days a week. And tonight is karaoke night with a live band. So tailor-made Tuesday, she called it, with a live band. So if you're not doing nothing tonight, head on out there starting at 8 p.m. So right now it is 73 degrees, 6 minutes after the hour. We have the lovely Trina right here. And good morning, young lady.
Good morning. Thank you for the compliment right off the bat.
Oh, wow. Yeah, when I called her, I was telling her about it. I went through the same thing. Your computer decided to act crazy at the wrong time. And we know that happens. So, yes, we talked earlier. Matter of fact, she reached out to me, and I was amazed. Trey Brown introduced me to her. Thank you, Trey. I hope you're listening. And we do play your music, Trey. But I called her one day and I said, "You have time to talk?" I don't know how long we talked, but we talked for a minute. And I was asking about what she did and all the stuff that she do. And I was very intrigued with your bio, some of the things that you have done. Reading your bio, you're like San Antonio best kept secret.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
And it's all totally by happenstance. A lot of it's by happenstance, just being in the right place at the right time.
yeah. So we started talking on the phone. We were talking about diabetes. We are talking about that on how you worked with people with diabetes. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Yes, I worked at a big clinic. It's one of the largest diabetic clinics in San Antonio. When all the others were going out of business during the COVID pandemic, our doors remained open. It's in the medical center area. I won't say the name, but it's in the medical center area. I was there for nearly 12 years and was a business office manager there. Although I was more on the paperwork side, I ended up having to be more involved with direct patient care because I was just always, I don't know, I guess I just have that personality and that face, that smiling face. So I was just always upstairs, tending to patients, helping with patients, helping other managers with patient issues, physician issues, and things of that nature. But it was a very rewarding job. A lot of people do misconceive and think that, if they see someone overweight, they must automatically have diabetes. And I can tell you from working there that a lot of patients who came in with, weight issues, a lot of it had to do with thyroid. And our diabetic patients were actually pretty thin. So sometimes it's type 1, something they were just either born with or they acquired at a young age. It's just where they're insulin dependent. Their insulin never really worked. Or, type 2, where they developed it later in life due to obesity and inactivity, leading a sedentary life, kind of sitting around being a couch potato or what have you, or not eating properly, things of that nature. So they become type 2 diabetic, where their insulin is being produced, is just not working right and entering the cells the way it should. So then they're insulin resistant. So they also need insulin. So there's just a lot of misconceptions and education that needs to be brought about in the community on diabetes. So people just need to get themselves educated on it and figure out, because they say things can't be reversed, but I've seen diabetes be reversed many times over. People change their diet, they change their lifestyle, and they stop taking insulin medications and things like that. So it can be done.
Yes, and then the other misconception is, it's not misconception. It's true that the minority have the majority of diabetes in the United States.
Yes. And so, and 80%, about 80% of that is type 2 diabetes. So that's just us needing to manage our lifestyles better. As far as, we're just always on the go. We're working, we're going to school, we're taking care of kids, and we have to like take that time out to take care of us. Because a lot of that is within our control. It has to do with, leading a sedentary lifestyle, not eating properly, being obese. So type 2 is 80% of it. And we're totally in control of that.
Well, I noticed in the South, mainly talking to people about diabetes, they never admit they have diabetes, but they say, I got a sugar issue.
And they're absolutely right. There's too much sugar being excreted into their blood because the cells that would bind the insulin don't work properly. So the sugar has nowhere to go but into their bloodstream. So they're absolutely right. Technically, that is what is happening. So they're right. They have the sugars.
So type 1 is you need insulin daily, and type 2 is like with me. I'm type 2. I'm taking pills, and that's about it to control everything. I think type 1 is you stuck with it for life, but type 2, if I'm correct, if you change your lifestyle, you reverse all that, and you won't need to be on the medication.
Correct.
Okay.
And some people are on insulin, some people take a pill, some people just try to manage it with food. And one thing that we would have patients do sometimes, and this does not work, people, please listen to me. Right before their appointment, maybe a few days before their appointment or a day before their appointment, they would try to drink a lot of water and not eat any sweets. That does not work. You'd have to pretty much be doing that for a month or so for your body to recognize that and regulate itself, for that to show up in your blood work. So that does not work.
That's when that A1C come into play. Find out what you've been doing for 3 months.
Yes, right.
Well, I've been doing this. How long you been doing? 2 weeks? No, 3 months, buddy.
You like my grandma used to say, you can't slick a can of oil.
I like that saying. That's a good one right there. So venture off, then you got into a little bit of insurance without mentioning the company's name and all that stuff. You got into that a little bit. So are you still doing that?
Yes, I am going on 3 years. And I'll say the name because I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with it. But so it is for New York Life. I'm very proud to work for New York Life. It is a great company, been around over 175 years. They've managed to stay in business through 2 world wars, Great Depression, pandemic. When other companies are failing and falling by the wayside or closing their doors, New York Life is standing strong. 38 billion surplus strong, has paid dividends to its clients historically for over 175 years. So that just tells you it speaks to the volumes to the stability, financial stability of the company. So I'm very proud to work for New York Life. And I'm just in another way getting into the community and educating folks on the preservation, of their wealth, how to build wealth, how to grow wealth. I know we all see the plate sales when someone passes, and that doesn't have to be, it is what it is. Sometimes we think that that's our only means of taking care of, our loved ones or putting them to rest. But, that doesn't, I've done my research, so it doesn't really pay for everything. And now you're in debt to that particular company for the next however many years, when you could have put that money to better use through an insurance policy and had that money growing 10 times over. So it's just something we have to be educated on and, growing, put our money there instead of, always in a bank, because, it tends to grow 400 to 700 times more in a life insurance policy. And you have access to that money just like a bank. It's your money. That's why they call it bank on whole life. It's your money. You can borrow from it. There's no penalty. If you don't want to pay it back, there's no penalty. It's your money. You do want to let it grow, because the longer you leave it, the more it grows. And one other thing people don't know is, even though it says you pay for your policy if you get a whole life policy, you pay for it to age 100. They have what they call POP, which is after so many years, you can actually stop paying for it, and the dividends will pay for the policy for you. So just say around 17 to 20 years. It actually starts to pay for itself. So the more money you put in at that point, you're just really increasing the cash value and the death benefit side of things.
Okay. So
So
what would you say to a young couple? Let's say I'm gonna put a scenario out there. They get married at 24 years old and they're going to start a life together, have a family and all that. Is that the time for them to come in and sit down and talk to you?
that is the absolute perfect time because you want to lock in your insurability at your younger age, at your healthiest self. You want to lock everything in, and it's not to say that if you're 50 or 60 you shouldn't do it either because I started at a late age. It doesn't matter, just start. You want to leave a legacy for your children, your grandchildren, but it's not only about leaving a legacy, it's about growing and building your wealth now while you're alive, utilizing that money. Some people want to venture off into real estate. Some people want to open a boutique. Some people just want to buy a new car or pay their mortgage off in 15 years. This is the best way to do it. People want to put money towards their mortgage. Here's the deal. You put money towards your mortgage, and if you get into a pickle where you need money somewhere down the road, well, that bank is not going to, hey, you paid us X amount of extra dollars to try to pay your mortgage off early for the last 10 years. Hey, can I have some of that money back? No, you cannot. They will laugh you out of the bank doors.
Yeah.
But if you have your money in life insurance and for the purpose of paying your mortgage off early, you can always dip into that if you need to, and you could decide to put it back or not. And the money will keep growing regardless. As long as you leave, at least 10% in there, it's just going to keep growing. Of course, the more you have in there, the more it grows. But an early age is perfect because your rates, it all goes by three things. You're prioritizing your premiums by three things: your age, your health rating, and the amount of coverage you want. So of course, the younger and the healthier you are, the cheaper it's going to be. I have a client that's 30, I don't know, 33, somewhere around there. And I think he got $500,000 for 20 something dollars. So, and that was term. Our term policies also convert into whole policies. You have 10 years to convert part or all of your term policy to a whole policy. Sometimes people are in a situation where they can afford to pay, I'm young, I don't have the best job, but I know in the future I plan to do XYZ. So right now I can afford this. That works. You're paying $23 a month, and then you get a better job, you get a bonus, you get increases, you advance your career throughout the years, and then you're able to afford more. You decide to convert part of your term policy into a whole life policy. And now you can keep them both, or you can let the term go and just keep the whole life, because now you have money growing inside there. Now you're creating wealth for yourself. Now you're creating avenues that you can borrow from in the future if you need to, or just set it and forget it, let it grow. Some people let this money grow and annuitize it into their retirement, make it part of their retirement. So there's just a lot of great things. We have, I won't speak about the actual product, but we have products for children or grandchildren where you can just say you get a policy for them at birth, or and it's not about getting an insurance policy on the Rockefellers, JCPenney, Walt Disney, all these people. This is where their wealth came from. This is why they're so wealthy and so rich. They just created policies. Every time somebody was born, they created a policy and they put it into a trust. And that's what they borrow from, and that's what they have their venture capital from, the real estate. This is everything they dip into and put back into, and they just bank on themselves. And this is what the ideology and the mentality that we need to get to, because this is what's going to get us wealth while we're living. We're so into life insurance means death insurance, and that's not what it's about. It's about creating wealth for yourself and your family. And it is about protection, in case of the unfortunate premature death of a loved one and that income is lost in the household. So it is about that as well. But it's also about creating wealth. And that's the part of it that we've never really grasped onto. That's now coming to light through TikTok and Facebook and, everything else. So I'm getting calls that, hey, I saw this on TikTok. Can y'all do that? Well, I really hate that you saw it on TikTok, but at least you learned it. I'm really happy that you learned it. So now let's delve deeper into it. Yeah.
Right. So the way things are so volatile nowadays with the banking industry, and we got the threat of the debt ceiling on June 1st, and all, a lot of that plays in people's mind, and they're coming to you about that. What would you tell them that is not that volatile with the company you work with? will yours have something to do with all that if it does happen?
Yeah, we do have products that are in the market, but we do also have a lot of products that are fixed and guaranteed products not in the market. So you can move money over. We have people rolling money over from old 401. That's another thing, people. If you have old 401ks sitting somewhere at a job you no longer work at, don't just let the money sit there. No one's managing it other than your HR person who really didn't go to school for that, wasn't trained for that. They're just trained to put your money in a bucket. And then nobody's managing it. We don't know what products it's going in and out of. And that's why you see a lot of people losing money. And they really don't know that there's an option to put it somewhere else. So you can put it in, not only with us, but there's other companies out there, but you can put it in a fixed, guaranteed. If you're risk averse, like I am, you're at an age where it's like, I'm not at an age to be playing with my money because I'm getting close to retirement, then you want to put your money in somewhere fixed and guaranteed. So we do have products like that where your money is guaranteed to grow at a fixed rate for however long it's there.
Okay. We got a question just came in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was quick. They said they had a 401k
mm-hmm.
when they quit their job.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was they thought they had this amount in there, and the company matched what they put in there. But when they went to go take the money out to roll over, the company kept the money that they matched with them, came up with some saying that you didn't stay there long enough in order to get this money. Is that right?
They might want to question that with EEOC, and I don't know exactly who's sending that information to them. It does not sound right to me. And the good thing about it is if your company's matching, you always want to match, right? If your company's matching 4%, you at least want to match 4%. Going higher doesn't do you any good. You're just going to pay taxes on that extra money. So it's never really a benefit for you to go higher than what they match. Take that extra money, invest it somewhere else. So if they're doing 4 and you're thinking about putting 6 or 10, take that extra, 4 or 8% or whatever it is, and put it somewhere, invest it somewhere else where you're actually growing money, because you're not going to do anything on that extra except pay taxes. But I would definitely not let that go. I would dig a little deeper into that because it does not sound right that they are keeping, and if you had, they have what they have called key man policies, where they put insurance policies on an employee because that's a valued employee, and they feel like if that employee left, it would cost them, money in the business. So they put a policy on that person to cover those expenses if that person were to leave or pass away.
Yeah.
That's not what the 401k is. So 401k is, you're investing money into your retirement plan, and if the company has the option to match or not. So that's money that you put into your retirement plan. So I'm not sure who's saying that, it could be someone who does not know what they're talking about. I would maybe try to reach out to the HR or someone higher, or pose that question to EEOC and see how they respond, because it does not sound right.
Okay, so if you roll over some money over, you're not being taxed when you roll that over.
No, because you're rolling it into a similar, another retirement type of vehicle. So you're avoiding the taxes by doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Once you move it out and into your bank account, now that becomes ordinary income and you will be taxed.
Oh, wow. Okay. One other thing about rolling over. Oh, I got somebody coming to the door. What a perfect time for them to come to the door right about now. Isn't that something else? Just a second. I'll go ahead and talk about your acting career now.
Okay. Well, I started with acting probably about over 20 years ago. And it's not something I do 24/7. It's kind of like anybody else's hobby. If they play drums in a band on the weekend, or do karaoke on the weekend, or whatever your fun pastime or hobby is, that's kind of my thing. So maybe once or twice a year, get an opportunity to act in something. I used to work with the Hornsby Entertainment Group. It was a great faith-based group. Loved it. Unfortunately, Kathy Hornsby passed away. She was the director of the group. I believe her father was a founder. And she worked closely with her sisters through college. Kathy had accolades such as she played on Three's Company. She did quite a few African American soap operas that were here in the U.S. I believe the Black and the Bold, or the Bold and the Beautiful, something like that. But she did a couple of soap operas. She did Three's Company and a few other projects. And then she decided she wanted to teach. And I just think she was an awesome, amazing director and teacher. Even though it was community theater, I just learned so much from her. And that's actually where I met Trey Brown. We did, I know we've done Raisin in the Sun, and for colored girls, so many community theater. We've performed at the Josephine Theater. We performed at the Carver Community Center and several other playhouses. I have trained with Paul Tinder, who was an actor. I think he played in The Long Ride Home or something along those lines. He has a group here, a theater company called PASA, Performing Arts in San Antonio. I believe it's off of 281 or 410. But as a birthday gift at one point, I got to train with him for about 2 or 3 months. So I really was able to see a big difference in, the training of Mr. Paul Tinder versus Kathy Hornsby. And I can still say I learned a lot from Kathy Hornsby. She has passed on, but I mean, it just stays with me in everything that I do. Everything she taught us was just so amazing. So I really appreciate and thank her for that. She says, I won't be happy until you're in a movie, commercial, something. So I can say, hey, I've had my 15 minutes of fame a few times. So with the latest being, had a VH1, Remy Ma. It's hosted by Remy Ma, and it's called My True Crime Stories. And it's just based off of people who hung around with, I guess, got involved in something. They're really good people at heart, but they just got mixed up with the wrong crowd is basically what the stories are. And then they usually have a pretty good outcome. Something, of course, bad happened. They may have went to jail or something happened. And I guess Remy Ma's story is pretty similar to that. And that's why they asked her to host it. So I did have the opportunity to do that VH1 series. I think it's season 1, episode 8. It's called Brianna Rios. And that just involved a young girl who got a job. She was pregnant. She needed a job. She got a job at a dollar store. So go out and check this out. Viacom it's a very powerful company. It has strongholds on their productions. So it's very hard if you want to watch it without paying for it, but you may be able to catch snippets of it on YouTube or just try to Google it. But it's called Brianna Rios, and it's My True Crime Stories, hosted by Remy Ma. I am the bank manager, so you'll see my face on the screen at least 15 times. I play 3 different characters in there. There's a couple of extras at the bookie agent's office trying to put money down on a bet. But the bank manager was a big one. And then I also did Netflix, which was starring Nia Long and Lily Reinhardt and a few others. That Netflix was filmed in Austin at Stubbs. A lot of people might know of Stubbs Barbecue House.
Yes.
So we filmed it there. That one was called Look Both Ways. And I did not necessarily see myself in there because, that's the way the movie industry worked. That you could film something 30 times because they're trying to catch it from so many different angles. But they could cut the scene altogether, or they could just gloss over you. And I think that's pretty much what happened. We were in a bar scene drinking beer, watching a band, and I could just see silhouettes. So I'm like, I'm in there somewhere. It doesn't matter. The credit's on my resume, and I got paid for it, so I can claim it. But yeah, I think the VH1 was a lot more exciting to me.
Let's go back. Let's go back to you and when you're saying that you was the bank manager and you played other different roles in there.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through, are you dressed up as a bank manager? Then you go ahead and change to be this other person. Do they change your makeup, style the hair, and all that?
Yeah, they're supposed to. Now, in this particular instance, they did not. We did change clothes and jewelry, but we didn't really change my hair, I think it just got kind of chaotic at that point, moving people around, and we had limited space in this bank building that we were in as far as where we could change and things. So I was able to change clothes and a little bit of makeup and jewelry, but my hair stayed the same. So people thought the bank manager was also involved in some criminal dealings. So if you go watch it, you some people catch it, some people don't. They're like, "Hey, were you?" I mean, it's all good. It's all good. Sorry about that.
Just like you had you were the person on the inside doing all that, but
Yeah,
you
yeah,
was. So
I was.
that would definitely throw people off because it probably went another direction they thought it was going. And said, "Wait a minute, I thought she was involved in that. What happened?"
Yeah, some people didn't catch it because they toggle back and forth between scenes so much that all you it's just like watching a movie. You have to watch it 10 times to catch everything. So a lot of people didn't catch it. They just thought, "Oh, I saw you over there too. Oh, I saw you over here," but they didn't connect the dots that that's the bank manager. What's she doing placing bets? So
the bank money.
I knew it, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was supposed to have I was not supposed to speak, but then they started asking me to speak. I was like, oh my God, I went from being an extra that was supposed to be walking by in the background to the bank manager standing in the front. And my face is all over the screen several times. Like I couldn't have asked for anything more. People were calling my phone. Did I just see you on TV? I was like, I didn't even know because they didn't give us a release date. They just kept saying in the fall. And so we didn't really have a release date. We just couldn't, that's just how the industry is. We just couldn't get an actual release date. So I did not know until my phone started ringing.
Man, see, you said, what? That's out already? I didn't know.
Yeah, I had to change the channel and see myself and then start, start recording. I was answering like, yeah, I guess that is me. But I thought I was going to have a speaking line because they were telling me things to say. So I would, they would tell me, we're here, we're doing this, we're at the bank. She's going to come up, say this, and you just, say this. So I had a lot of speaking lines, but then they decided they wanted it narrated by Remy Ma. So I don't think that was in the original plans, but it somehow came about. So when Remy Ma narrated, then it just kind of it was a voiceover, whatever we were saying, it was just a voiceover with Remy Ma. So, it was fine. It's perfect.
Yeah. So what do you like better, doing movies like that or the theater?
It is probably one of on my bucket list to do theater, to actually do a movie or a commercial. New York life is my bread and butter. I have to pay the bills, and I feel like this is something I was looking to move away from the diabetic clinic to do something more impactful in the community. I felt like I was helping people, but I wasn't, there was something missing. I wanted to make more of an impact to people. And, how can I started getting calls from different companies, and I was like, why are these people calling me? And I thought, okay, well, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. So I started looking into it, and, first I was just telling them no. And I started looking into it, and I started, attending the meetings or listening to what they had to offer. And I was like, okay, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. Because this is something that it's a need in the community. It's education that we need in the community. So maybe this is where I'm supposed to be. So I just thought this was really rewarding to get out into the community and help educate people. And, I'll set up tables at Traders Village or LA Fitness or, in front of Walgreens and really just answer questions. People come up and I just, play games and have bottled water and answer any questions they have, because I feel like at least if they're walking away a little more educated, and I tell them, hey, make sure you go teach your kids, your grandkids, make sure you start some kind of growth process for them, break the poverty chains. It does not have to stop here. It does not have to continue. Poverty does not have to continue with you. You can be the one to break those poverty chains and help your kids and help your grandkids to see how to build wealth. And it does not have to break the bank to build wealth and to be able to utilize that wealth while you're living. So that's just a mentality we have to come to grips with. But yeah, that's my 9 to 5. But, like I said, once or twice a year, I may get the opportunity to act. And so that's how, Trey came about. Trey called and said he's working on a project and would I like to be a part of it. I was the only person they really thought of to play this part. And so I'm honored. So we'll see how it goes.
Right.
But that's, like I said, this is my hobby, just like people play drums in the band on the weekend or whatever they do for pastime or fun. It's just something I do for fun. I do love karaoke.
I was going to ask you that.
I do have a drum set. I can't play like, James Brown drummer yet, but I'm getting there.
So what are you doing June 3rd?
June 3rd. I don't think I have anything on my calendar. I know that I have something in around June 14th. I think that's with Trey.
Okay, but June 3rd, I'm inviting you to come out to family karaoke at Ball Hogs here in San Antonio. I'll be the VJ.
Is that on Houston or Commerce?
That's on Houston.
Okay, I've seen it. I've seen it.
Ball Hogs is the barbecue place, and Hubert
Okay.
Brown, he's the pit master, and boy, he could smoke a brisket and everything
I,
else.
I've been wanting to try that place, so I'm glad you mentioned it.
So let's put it. It's from 1 to 5 p.m.
Okay.
It's during the
I
daytime. Yeah.
will put that in my calendar. I appreciate the invite.
We would love to have you out there. And another thing you're saying that you set up sometimes to talk to people. We just got a new location for a radio station. We have a nice little patio out there. Maybe we'll get you over there to set up and talk to the youth and all that stuff. Get a great big thing going on saying, come meet this young lady. And all that stuff. We'll talk later about that. But I think,
for sure.
I think we can make that work. And it's right there in Denver Heights, as they call it, on the east side of San Antonio. And it's nice the way things are set up. And we'll talk a little later on back. I would love to have you out there one day.
I would love to be there. I think I get, we were just talking about this in class yesterday. I think I get like overly excited because there's so much information I have. And it's like, nobody's ever shared this with us. Oh my God. And I just feel like exploding with this information. So I think I tend to do that with people. I'm like, just start running off at the mouth when I start talking about insurance and how they can protect their families and how they can put safeguards in place and how they can grow wealth. And I'm like, guys, Rockefeller, JCPenney, Walt Disney, this is how all these people have acquired most of their wealth. Like we could have been doing this too. Nobody just ever told us. So I am here to tell you, it is so easy.
See, and that's what I like. You giving a secret. It's not really a secret. We need to open up our ears and listen to what people are telling us and quit living in the past, putting that money up on the mattress.
Right.
You know, we need, as my mom always used to say, let your money work for you.
Right. And I am, hear me when I say I'm in no way saying that banks or credit unions are bad. I have my money in a credit union. So, and my sister's a VP over at the credit union. So, she'll kill me if I say something bad about banks or credit unions. But I mean, in no way are they bad. You absolutely need 3 to 6 months of liquid money, something that you can access easily in case of emergencies. There should be an emergency fund. That is what banks and credit unions are for. Your easily accessible funds for emergencies, for paying your utility bills in case the water heater or AC goes out. You need accessible funds. 3 to 6 months is recommended, but that is completely relative to the person. Some people feel more comfortable with having a year. Some people will tell you, I don't even have $500 in there. Just work on it. Nobody's judging you for anything that you're doing or haven't done. Start somewhere and just do
it. So everybody should have an emergency fund.
If at all possible. I mean, just start it. You may not be, where you need to be, where you want to be, but start it. That's something I'm working on. It may be late in life, and I get so excited when I have young people, in their 20s asking about, protection and safeguards and putting things in place for retirement, because it's very hard to see yourself or want to see yourself in your older self. A lot of people just don't want to envision themselves in their older self, but it's something that's inevitable. We are going to get older. We are going to die. We are going to die. So those are just things that we can't avoid unless you come up with some miracle water. Those are things that are just going to happen. So you really need to prepare yourself. Put those safeguards in place and protections. So if income is lost in your house today, how would your family move on? If your income was lost, how would your family move on? Those are questions, tough questions, but we have to ask ourselves, how, would my family be okay? How would they move on? Is the insurance you have at work, is the insurance you have at work? You can't take it with you. I mean, if you do, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. So It's not something that people generally take with them. So we consider that a bonus insurance, right? If you have any kind of disability or insurance, health insurance at work, I mean, you need health insurance. That's great. But any kind of insurance you have at work belongs at work. It belongs to your employer. You cannot take it with you. So then if you leave that job, God forbid you get terminated or you quit or the company closes down. Now you're starting from ground zero. But now you're at your older self, maybe a little bit less healthy. And now it may cost you double for the coverage that you could have gotten 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Right.
So those are things that you just have to think about. If you're a smoker, you can still get insurance. If you have diabetes, if you have lupus, if you have MS, all these things can be covered as long as they're being well managed, as long as you're seeing a physician and they're being well managed. Now, if you're just out there living life, doing whatever, you're smoking, drinking, all this stuff, and not really seeing a doctor, then that's not being well managed. So you might want to start seeing a doctor so that it shows that you are putting forth some effort. But people think that they're counted out because they've gone through some type of life event or sickness or illness, and that's just not the case.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the mentality of some people. Think, well, I have this, I can't get insurance on myself, and
Right.
that's false.
Right, and a lot of times for like cancer, or I'll say cancer, I think it needs to be within 5 years of your last chemo treatment, and then we can look at coverage. And a lot of times it just depends on the type. Sometimes it doesn't even require that length of time. I have a client who had a kidney transplant, so it just had to be within 10 years, of his anniversary date. So it just depends.
Okay, well, I got a question for you. You're talking about your sister not beating you up. So what's the difference in putting something in savings compared to with life insurance? Because I know in savings, what really pissed me off about that, you put money in savings, they give you not even a nickel on a dollar, but they end up loaning your money you put in savings to somebody else, and they're making a killing off of it.
So majority of banks invest your money, and you can talk to your bank about this. They should be honest with you. A majority of the banks will invest your money in life insurance because it earns so quickly and so well. So they're doing this with your money anyway. Why aren't you doing it? The other fact that you just stated is it doesn't earn very much per year, but yet you're still going to pay taxes on whatever's in your bank account.
Yeah.
Now that's savings. You're putting money into life insurance. You're earning 400 to 700 times more than you would in the bank. So, I mean, you do the math, and you're not going to pay taxes. There's no income tax on it. Yeah, it's not. The money's not taxed until you pull it out, which is what, 20 years down the line, maybe.
Yeah.
15 years down the line, maybe 10 years down the line, maybe. Some people just set it and forget it, and they let the money grow, or they dip into it, for emergencies if they need to, but otherwise they just let it grow. And then they go and pay off their mortgage, because you don't. It's not a great idea to pay off your mortgage. I'm not going to pretend to be Dave Ramsey or Susie Orman or anything like that. Let me put that disclaimer out there. But it's not the greatest idea to pay off your mortgage right away, because that is one of the biggest tax deductions that you have every year. So it's better to just let it, set it, forget it, let that money grow, pay your mortgage regularly. And then once your money builds up into that policy, pay off the mortgage, and then leave the rest of the money in there and let it grow and do what it does. But you've now got money to pay off your house, and you still got money growing in there for whatever you want to use it for.
Right.
If you want to annuitize it and pay yourself out into retirement, or take a family trip, or whatever you want to do. You've got money to do both, versus had you just been given, and you can borrow from it. This is accessible money that you can go into. Once it starts to build up and grow, you can actually go into it and borrow from it. And we say borrow because that's the only way to keep Uncle Sam out of the mix, is you have to take a loan from yourself.
Yeah.
If you surrender it, that's when you just take the money out, and it's not considered a loan. You surrender it, you put it in your account. It's now ordinary income, and you're not going to be taxed. So we're trying to keep Uncle Sam out of your pocket, so we call it a loan, but by no means do you have to pay it back. There's no penalty for not paying it back.
I'm surprised Uncle Sammy figured out a way on how to get their hands on.
Well, you know why? Because a lot of Congress has their money in life insurance, so they're not going to mess with
it. Well, that answer that question. Don't mess with my money. All
You're
right,
not.
Trina, I'm gonna call you later on down the line, because there's some stuff I want to set up with you. I like what I'm hearing from you. And by the way, do you have an agent? With your acting, you have an agent?
I do not. because like I say, it's just kind of a hobby right now. Now, if somebody reaches out, if somebody, if Tyler Perry calls,
Yeah.
I might have to think about that one. But yeah, for now, it's like this is my first love right here is just helping the community and helping educate the community. So I really do enjoy this. I do find it rewarding. I love helping. I mean, by nature, I am just a helper. I don't care what I'm doing. As long as I'm helping you, I feel like this is my purpose. This is what I'm here for.
All right. The reason why I asked, my two grandkids did a pilot with Disney and have an agent, and they staying busy. They doing commercials sometimes and all that. So that's why I was asking. And right now, see, the only thing about kids, they're cute when they're little. When they start growing up, they kind of sort of push them to the side after that. Next kid, come on down.
Yeah. And then the kids and then the kids start suffering, having because they can't cope socially and things like that, because they're used to making that money and being around that certain environment and people, and all of a sudden that just stops. And now they're having a hard time, making it in society, because now everybody's looking at them like, where are they now?
You see them shows, where are they now? You look at them, they're drugged out, alcoholics, and all that good stuff. So I see that's the deal about with kids. You never know what they're going to become if they don't have a strong family background that nurture them and tell them, don't worry about that, move on. What else do you want to do?
I think I'm probably kind of shy away from it because I have a fear of getting involved with an agent, and because I've attempted it once or twice before, and you will get really busy. And like I said, this is what I do. New York Life is what I do. I bleed blue. So if they pull me, I can't have anything that pulls me away from what I do, not even 50% of the time. And, can you be here? Can you be there? Can you do this audition? Like, that can't be my life. And that's why I do it, the once or twice. I get, 1 or 2 opportunities a year, and I just make sure I make them count.
So question, I'm going way out there now. So why not do a commercial for your company?
I've never thought about it. I mean, they don't really do a lot of commercials, New York Life. They feel like their reputation, is enough, is to stand alone. So you'll notice they don't have a lot of commercials out there. I just recently started seeing a commercial, and it's like a commercial one. But I ran into a lady in Dollar General, and she was working behind the register, and she saw my tag and it said New York Life, and she says, oh, I know that company, but she said, y'all don't do a lot of commercials. And I was like, wow. I said, I can't believe you noticed that, but you're right, we don't. We don't door knock, we don't cold call people. They just feel like their reputation is enough to stand on its own, so they don't spend a lot of money doing things like that.
Well, just throwing a bone out there to you, just my own personal opinion. You don't have to do a commercial. Do some things that could go on social media to reach the other people you're not reaching, the young people. That'd be some New York Life right here. This is what we do for your community. Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think that will hurt, but that's just my opinion.
No, you're right. It's great. They're very strict on, because of their reputation and because I represent them and they want me representing them in a good light. They represent themselves in a good light. They have a strong reputation for doing the right thing ethically, and they have a lot of integrity. So do I. So they want to make sure that whatever's out there, they're always aware of what's going on. So we're not allowed to have YouTube channels. We can't have New York Life on our personal social media. So we have a business page, and on there we have like things that are set up to go out, from that are already approved. Right. So it's already been reviewed and approved by them. So we can do things like that. I can actually post personal pictures, of what I'm doing in my life. Like I just went to New Orleans for my sister's 40th birthday. Now I can post that, but not if we're like holding a margarita or anything like that. But, us having fun in New Orleans, I can post things like that just so people get to see the personal side of me and that I am a real person. And that's the other advantage of working with us. You have an actual agent you can always reach out to versus a computer or something online. I don't want to be just the next best version of Google. I want to make sure that there's a personal and a personable touch to whoever you're dealing with, that you can always get your questions answered. So you're always going to get transparency with me. You're always going to get honesty with me, integrity, because that's just who I am. And not that we're always going to be the cheapest. We're not always going to be the most expensive, but you are going to get the real deal. And there's no hidden clauses and fees. Like, you're going to get what it is up front. And I'll tell you why it is the way it is. And when you understand what you're paying for and why you're paying for it, then you don't so much have a problem. You know, maybe I do have to pay $5 more, but because you've explained that to me and why that is, I don't have a problem with that. I see the value in it.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back. New Orleans, you and your sister. Did y'all close the town down, or what did y'all do? Did y'all let your hair down and have a good time?
We had fun, but we did more. We were more the tourists this time. We didn't. We half party. We did go to a couple of spots where they have live music, you know, and hors d'oeuvres and drinks. And I literally nursed a beer the whole night just so we could sit at the front table. So I never even finished it. It was just,
wow.
You had to have a drink to sit up, you know, up front there to make sure you were spending money. But it was a really nice time. We did a couple of so I learned a lot of history about New Orleans, or Louisiana and New Orleans, period, that I put out on social media, and people just found, you know, these facts so fascinating. You know, Louisiana was one of the first, you heard of the Louisiana Purchase. So, you know, they were one of the first states to be purchased, but it just has such a fascinating history, and how they can't destroy any of the buildings. That's why everything looks old or eclectic or, you know, worn. There's only so much they can do to the buildings because of the historical, you know, just like San Antonio, we have the historical areas. You know, they can change a few things, but there's not a lot they can change on a historical property. Right. So they have a lot of that going on. They have what we call the medians in the middle of a highway or a street. You know how we have the grass medians? Mm-hmm. What they call those neutral ground. And so in San Antonio, you might have New Braunfels on one side of the median and New Braunfels on the other side. Well, they have two different street names because they had people that, just say, for instance, the Cajuns and the Creoles, or whatever it was. One thought they were more high society than the other. They didn't get along. But the neutral grounds was where they would come to make agreements and hash things out and talk. So their medians are called neutral grounds. So interesting, right? So fascinating. Yes. And on each side of the street is a different name. So you may cross the street and the name changes because that was a totally different place. It's just crazy. Their cemeteries are above ground because they're sea level, so everything has to be above ground. So we saw a lot of cemetery. It looks really nice to me. It looks like you're looking at a Catholic church. I mean, you're almost looking at like a city skylight. The way everything is just different levels in the cemetery. And so I saw a prepaid by Nicolas Cage. It was a prepaid pyramid where he's going to be buried. I guess he's already paid for, his place. So it's just very interesting. We saw a few homes of people who live there. Brad Pitt, John Goodman, Beyonce, of course, Nicolas Cage, Harry Connick Jr. A lot of people have homes there. I didn't know that. Yeah,
that's the way to get away. There's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right. In closing, how can people get a hold of you? Or like acting or your business or anything like that?
I can, you have my name, Trina Forcey, and so I'll spell that for you. F is in Frank, O-R, C is in Charlie, E-Y. And then am I okay to give you my phone number?
Yes.
Okay. So it's 210-309-2906. And then my email is so long. But yeah, I probably better to just call me because my email is so long.
Okay.
They'll be here writing forever. And then if, once they get hold of me, I can share my email with them. But yeah, any questions that anyone has, I'm happy to answer. It's best if we can do a one-on-one because I can go more into detail than I can on the radio. Right. Like I said, New York Life is very strict about what we can talk about publicly because they're not here to monitor, what's being said. I could just be out here just going buck wild with information and it be incorrect.
Oh yeah.
We don't want they want to make sure that you are on point. So I appreciate you having me on. I thank all your listeners. I hope somewhere along the way I educated somebody on something they did not know.
Oh, you did.
That's what I love.
You educated me with your insurance deal right there, because that's something that people need to know about.
That's good. Yes. Oh, the thing I was saying, I can't say the name of the product, but the other thing was because we were talking about the kids, insuring kids. So you're investing in their life to make sure that they have a leg up in life. You know, wishing someone had done this for you. Think about doing this for your child, your grandchild.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter, you know, if they were just born, as long as they're 14 days old, they can be insured. But we have a product that makes them pretty much a millionaire by the age 42. Okay. And it's something where you just pay into it for 10 to 15 years, depending on your budget. And so whether you make them a millionaire or not, you're still giving them a leg up in life. That's just how I see it. You're still starting something that wasn't started. So the object is to make them a millionaire by age 42, and then by age 52, 53, they have another million, and because that's just the way it grows. And then by the next year they have another million. So they're, you know, by the time they pass, they have quite a bit of money that they're able to then leave, and this is how wealth starts.
Okay.
And you're only paying this for 10 years. And you think about the things that you pay for 10 years. You think about your cell phone bill, your cable bill, your car insurance, your home insurance, things that you really aren't getting a lot out of it, but you pay it. You've got subscriptions out there you don't even watch, but you've been paying them for years.
Yeah.
So you just have to think about, like, do I really need more money, or do I just need to reallocate what I've been doing?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Sure enough,
so all right, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you being on, and I will be calling you later on, probably sometime next week, to set up some other stuff, because I like some of the things you were saying, and we got to hear more from you. This is not going to be it, young lady. We got to hear more.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this invite. You said you're having an event for young people, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, we got a lot of things planned, so I will keep you in the loop, and keep me in the loop on things that you're doing. If you're going to be somewhere set up, let us know so we get the word out, okay?
Yeah, and I'm happy to come to someone's church, as long as they allow it. I wouldn't be there to do a seminar, but I'll be happy to set up a table and just answer questions.
Okay, sounds good.
Appreciate it.
You take care. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.